Welcome back, everyone, to the next installment of The Letter. Marianne has solidified herself as easily the best playable character, and possibly the best character in the game. It's between her and Johannes now. It's going to be fierce competition, but Marianne's really winning me over here. Excellent singer, D&D player, probably anime fan with that poster? This is sounding pretty good. But it isn't often that I think about drinking on the job. But after meeting with the Wrights yesterday really makes me want to break my self-imposed rules. So now she knows who Luke is. Yep. Because first off, fucking damn whiskey was fucking damn Mr. Wright. And to top it all off, they had somehow forgotten to inform me that they didn't own the Ermengarde mansion yet when they hired me. Oh, maybe this was after Isabella and Rose had the talk with her then. Because she just walked in going, "So, when do I start?" And they're like, "What?" What sort of person does that?
Ugh, rich people.
I could do nothing but twiddle my thumbs at this, however. Twiddle my thumbs and wait for the go signal. It's not like I can accept other smaller projects. This is a big job, and I should be ready to start on it at any time. Not to mention that my PA practically begged me to be patient and wait this out. It was a hard decision to agree to, but I did so in the end. Now you could say agree, actually. It was tough for me to agree. Besides, I'm doing this for the Ermengarde mansion, not for anything or anyone else. I'd have a headache whatever I do anyway. I'd go to the pub again, but seeing what happened a few days ago, I'd rather not end up in bed with another potential client. And it might be a huge leap in logic, but a library is the next best thing after the pub. I have to go there anyway. I need more books. For Dad. Plus, I also need to return the ones I borrowed last time. Finding a new book or two to read for myself while I have nothing to do isn't such a bad idea either. So, on a Saturday morning, I find myself going to the only library in Luxburn to, hopefully, cool off. That is a big, empty library. After returning an Ursule? And a poetry book by Henry of Potebredy? I hope I said either of those right. I asked the librarian about the several titles on my list, though I don't have much luck on that front. Do you have any AD&D 5th edition? Dialogue with Death has already been snatched, and she bluntly said that she did not keep our mathematical universe for someone who didn't return books on time. Ouch. I make headway, at least, when I ask about Siege and Rendition of Havana by Jacobo de Pezuela. If you count her snarling and pointing at the history section as headway, that is. The history section is devoid of any other, except for myself and a redhead. It's gotta be Becca, though I'd wager a guess that Red's just passing by to get to the classical literature section. Nope. So many books, so little time. Scanning the books and seeing so many wonderful titles gives me great pleasure. And that's when I spot it.
Hello, sailor. Why don't you come to Mama?
It's a letter. It says help me a bunch. Oh no. History of Luxburn Architecture, 1st edition. Huh. It's not the naval battle book I was looking for, no. It's even better. The newly acquired History of Luxburn Architecture, 1st edition, too. I know I just have to get it. I have been waiting to get my hands on the book for so long. The fact that there is only one copy proves to be a problem, though, when Red reaches out for it at the same time as I do. Oh.
I think I had this first, miss.
I can only stare her down when she refuses to let go of the book. Literally. Refusing to let go of it as well, I raise a brow at her in the hopes of the fact that I was significantly taller than her. Yup, would intimidate the girl. Even then she refused with a rebellious look. Yeah, both of these people would probably have steely gazes for their profession. Marianne for observation and Becca for discipline.
This isn't exactly light reading, miss. I mean, do you even know which architect was at the forefront of 18th century Irish architecture?
Ooh, boy. I would be out of this conversation so fast. I don't know. Ugh, I would be done. A beat. She blinks and I can't help the smirk on my face. Oh, you claim to like architecture? Name every architect! Which is wiped off when she opens her mouth.
Edward Lovett Pierce, who established the Palladian style through his work with Castletown House and the Irish Houses of Parliament. This bridge was destroyed in this year to delay French troops while under the regency of Mary of Guise.
This is not what I was expecting. Let's be honest. How many people would know these history facts? Aside from me, anyway.
Going right to the obscure ones, aren't you? Easy enough. Tullybody Old Bridge in Clackmannanshire, Scotland, on the January of 1560, if we want to be specific.
Suddenly, it's a game where we throw these history questions and facts at each other, back and forth in hushed tones, unless we want to be thrown out of the library. But how does this end? Both of you are clearly hardcore history buffs. Is it going to come to a point where one of you answers 8 questions and the other answers 9? Aha! The book is mine! After a while, it goes from some strange competition into this strange but friendly banter, if it could be called that. Yeah, that would make more sense. But as fun as it is, the exchange soon slows down until we're grinning at how odd this whole scene is.
Marianne McCulloch, my desire for potatoes doesn't quite match what the stereotypes suggest.
Rebecca Gales, the Scots' supposed hatred for the English wasn't enough to stop me from teaching their little spawns.
By then, we had forgotten about our little tug-of-war, although she still holds the book in her hands. I had let go of it without realizing when she answered my first question.
History teacher, then?
Got it in one.
No wonder you gave me a run for my money. Now, if we're talking about architecture, I'd blow you out of the water. You're from where? Luxburn Uni?
Oh no, just St. Goretti's.
Ah yes, Saint Goretti, so that's how you pronounce it. You'd think a school would choose a more appropriate saint to name themselves after, especially when they have very young students.
And I'm guessing you're an architect, if you're so confident about the subject.
Interior designer, Miss Gales.
Please, just call me Rebecca. You aren't one of my students, are you?
Marianne, then.
I could have said that I was an architect, but there's no point in explaining why I wasn't one anymore. Oh, also an architect, actually an architect.
So, I've never seen you before. I'd like to think I've met every history aficionado in town.
I blame the rock I've been hiding under, of course. That, and I'm usually only here on the weekdays if time allows. Work often has me meeting clients on the weekends.
That must be interesting work.
It allows for some creative freedom, sure, but it's like working with children sometimes. Though you probably have it harder working with actual children. The hardest part is convincing them that your idea is their idea.
Yeah, I'll bet.
That sounds exciting.
It is!
But isn't that true for any workplace, though? We just cross our fingers and hope there aren't any man-children in charge of important things. Any big projects right now? I can't imagine that interior designing is a frequent thing.
I'm working on the Ermengarde mansion. Lucky me. That mansion. Intach. Wonderful. Breathtaking. I can't wait to start in it. Now that is beautiful architecture.
A pause. It looks like she wants to say something at my mention of the house. I'm not surprised, that place is certainly popular with the locals, especially with the urban legends attached to it. In the next second, though, she seems to think better of it and drops what she's about to say.
So, do you have a portfolio or anything I can take a look at? I'd love to see your designs. Maybe you have some on a tablet? I've met some designers before, and they're always going crazy over these virtual room apps or another.
A tablet? Please. Callicrates didn't need those silly iTabs when he built the Parthenon. I certainly don't need one to design a house.
The computer back at my place is all I have. Why should I buy such an expensive gadget that will just get outdated within the year, when what I have is just dysfunctional? The traditional ways had a far more personal touch, in my opinion. Not to mention, those smartphones are awful tools of procrastination. Let's just give a couple of moments for anybody watching this Let's Play on a smartphone. I can't even count on one hand the number of people I see going outside only to have their eyes glued to the things. And fuck touchscreens. They're evil things that make typing, what should have been a simple task, harder. I'm sure everyone in school right now would laugh at this, but yeah, I'm one of those people who texts with one finger like an old person.
I do have an online portfolio if you'd like. I can...
Speaking, or thinking of the devil, seems to have summoned it, because before I can even carry on, Rebecca's attention wanes as she pulls out her mobile. For what I can only assume is a call, she gives me an apologetic look before she before she stands up and excuses herself. Off farther into the aisle she goes, for some privacy. I do my best to give it to her as well, trying to tune her out.
Belle, is something wrong?
Oh.
Lunch at the coffee house. Sure, I can make it. I'm not too far, I can be there in 10.
But with how quiet the surroundings are, she can't blame me if I overhear snippets of her conversation. When she returns with a sheepish look on her face, I know that our friendly chat has to be cut short.
Sorry, I have to go and meet with some friends.
It's fine. Totally fine. No need to even apologize.
About the book.
Her embarrassment increases twofold when she realizes she's still holding on to History of Luxburn Architecture. I don't give her time to think about it as I put a hand up and shake my head. Fishing out a pen and paper from my bag along with one of my business cards, I hand them over to her.
You know, I'm busy with work, so I might not even be able to take a peek at it anytime soon. You can go ahead and have it. But you'll have to ring me up when you're returning it just so I can snag it right away. Deal?
She makes quick work, penning her number down and handing it back to me with a grin.
Deal. Just message me during school hours, of course. You have a good day then.
You too.
With Rebecca gone, I'm left alone standing in the history section. Although my original plans were simply to sit down and read a good book, our little pop quiz, if you could call it that, made the time pass by without any of us even realizing it. It was fun, and I do believe I made a new friend. Good job, Marianne! Even with the talk of lunch, however, I don't feel like grabbing a bite to eat. There are still other books to be read here, and I'm hoping to find something that will help me while I work with the rights. Something like How to Deal with Arseholes Professionally 101, just in case. Let's just say how to deal with just one arsehole, because Hannah seems like she's got a good head on her shoulders. But we have a relationship with Luke and the meter, so who knows, maybe we'll get his perspective on all this. Watch me feel guilty for ragging on him, even though he's a drunk, a cheater, and a racist. Good luck, game, you've got your work cut out for you. I've dealt with a lot of uppity, snooty, and rich clients before, but it's still better to be safe than sorry. Because Luke Wright just takes the fucking cake, and he probably manages to eat it too. It seems the world is conspiring to keep me from my me time, as my mobile vibrates in my pockets the moment I find something from the shelves of the classic literature section.
Marianne McCulloch, Charlie Rose Design speaking.
Oh, that's nice, because she's not personal friends with her. It's not Rose, it's Miss Cooper.
Rose Cooper here, Miss McCullough. I hope I didn't catch you at a bad time or anything, but I just wanted to check in and tell you that we've got the clear to hand over the documents.
That's gotta be an immense relief.
Madam Wright told us that we should forward the floor plans to you.
Already? Yeah, because remember, they were like, within a week, please? As soon as possible? What? How did they go through the process so fast? Surely there was so much red tape to even acquire the forms and the transferring of rights. No matter how rich the rights are, it shouldn't be this quick, right?
So, if I can just have your email, I'll be sending them your way.
I'd actually like a physical copy of the floor plans.
Oh, I suppose that's fine. I'm not at the office right now, but I can inform Miss Santos of your request.
I'll make sure to drop by the office after lunch if that's fine.
Not a problem. Right. Well, cheers.
Right. Cheers.
I don't know. I just don't. Is there some sort of deeper miscommunication when we last met? These things take time. It's been, what, a day? Less than that, even. Yeah, the rights push this really... Like, I have to know what the reason is for wanting this house. Do they have some secret history with it? Because they had to have this house. This is the one. And they're going to outbid everybody. They met Isabella and Rose at their company building. Like, damn. Do they know about secret gold hidden in the floorboards or something? There isn't even a point in trying to make sense of these people who seem to be larger than life. As it looks like I'm on the clock starting today, I might as well eat. Grabbing some fish and chips from one of the street food stalls, I find a table to spend time with a copy of Marquis de Sade's The Crime of Love, since Rebecca left with the book I wanted. I've read this one before, along with the rest of his works. This would be the 18th time, in fact. Ah, man, I couldn't do that. It's rare that I read a book twice. I love reading, but, like, I can't read the same book over and over. But it's always nice to read through it again when I don't have the time to enjoy something new. Besides, when you're dealing with people so filthy rich that they just end up plain filthy, I would say they end up just plain filthy, you need the good old Marquis' sound advice. Do you, though? I might have this wrong, but isn't sadism named after Marquis de Sade? Like Sade, you know? Like, didn't that come from him? I think?
La blessure se trouvant sans aucune sorte de conséquence.
The wound being without any consequence. Of course, it's folly to think that things have no consequence when everything actually does. Briar Realty Corporation's Luxburn branch isn't too far off from the city center. Just a few blocks away, and I can easily eat and walk. I'd rather use this time to rest before I go into a flurry of activity. No doubt there'll be so much to do once we get hands-on with the mansion.
Still a lot better than working on another condo, at least.
Surely, no matter how much BRC and the old owners put into the restoration and preservation of the place, any big repairs would be superficial at most. I am quite certain that, in their haste to sell the property, they did a rush job. It isn't an infrequent thing to do, despite how it is frowned upon. There'll be a lot of hidden issues that I will need to weed out, and I have to make sure I find every single one of them, especially the more serious damages. Structural integrity is definitely on top of the list we will have to consider. The building might look sturdy, but is centuries old. That alone will likely pose a few problems here and there, put limitations on what we can do. Besides, despite how much I detest these rich snobs, they can pay rather handsomely. Yeah, so long as I do an excellent job and do more than necessary. Those two things always made sure the referrals keep coming. I don't even have to hunt down projects for myself. Okay, here we are. When I do go up to BRC's office, I can't help but stop and stare when I enter the building. With the lunch hour closing, employees should have been back already, if they still aren't filtering through the doors. Yeah, this is when Rose is still alive, so... I get that it's a Saturday, that people probably feel tired and lazy to be working on a weekend, but they're still on the clock, and not bumming about wasting company time on extended lunch breaks and cigarette sessions. The office is spacious, as it is with these big corporations. Each person is given their little space of what's usually a 2x2 meter cubicle. There is a lot more empty chairs than there are actual people working at their desks. It reminds me far too much of my last day at Poriskova Projects, during the massive layoffs due to the Irish economic crisis. But it isn't just that, though. There's the ghosts, too. I mean, everything is as quiet as a grave, really? Really? Damn, I picked a good time. It's as if these people are merely ghosts. What if that's the twist? The ghost in this game is the one living person? Everyone in the game is ghosts. Speaking of ghosts, Santos comes into the door looking as if she's just seen one, because she literally has. She looks at me, wide-eyed like a deer caught in the headlights, ready to bolt at any moment. I'd ask out of concern, but I feel it's not my position to do so. What if it's something personal? I'd simply be overstepping my boundaries. Really, it's none of my business.
I presume that Miss Cooper told you why I'm here, Miss Santos?
Huh? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just got back from lunch, you know? But it won't take too long. Don't worry.
Of course it won't. This whole project has established itself to be a matter done in haste. I do hope it doesn't mean that people are being careless in their duties.
She flinches and looks like she doesn't quite know how to respond to that. Yeah, let's not get too personal, but let's, shoot a barb at the person giving me my floor plans. Thankfully, instead of opening her mouth, she leads the way towards her station and goes to fetch the floor plans. It won't take too long, as she said, but it does take a bit. Time spent to compose herself, most likely.
You know, we usually just email these things.
I prefer the real thing.
Not that you would know. You probably have your nose stuck in front of a smartphone when you're not working, and even when you should be working, playing those mindless addictive games. I definitely wish Chris would stop playing that Bat-Cat? Okay, I don't know what that's a reference to. Thingy during work hours, too.
I know what you mean. Digital painting is nice, but nothing beats the smell of real paint. Not that I go and smell paint like a crazy person, but, you know, the real thing is different.
Wait, what?
Yes, nothing is quite like the real thing.
But okay. Checking out the floor plans, I see that I'll have a lot going for me. Now I know how Ray felt when he found the Central Park West building floor plans from that one movie. Are we talking Ghostbusters? Ray was one of the Ghostbusters? Let's see what we have here. Quarters, hall, garden, ballroom, hall, basement. That is some music room. Damn. Gallery, kitchen, dining hall, foyer, porch, parlor, mini bar. That's even established in the floor plans. Restrooms? Okay. First floor, which Americans would call the second floor. Quarters, conference room, balcony, master's bedroom, hallway, balcony, theater. Wow. Hallway, study room, bedroom, balcony. No restrooms? Oh no, I see the restroom off of the quarters. It's not labeled restroom, but it's there. And off the bedroom. Okay, you got me. Attic. Okay. This is why I became an architect in the first place. Jacobean style at its finest. It's a thing of beauty. Look at these gorgeous rooms. The delicate harmony between empty spaces. And speaking of empty spaces, there's something rather odd about these ones.
I feel a bit silly saying it out loud because I've never lived in a big house, let alone a mansion. But during the tour, I had the distinct impression that the rooms were bigger.
Oh, well, Marianne, this is just a printout on a piece of paper. The real house is actually much bigger than what you're holding in your hands right now.
Maybe the scale is wrong? It's not much of a problem. And it is an old house.
This is probably going to pay off later. There probably is a difference between the real thing and the plans. There had been little details here and there that I would have liked to address during the open house, too. But it was all forgotten in the wake of Miss Santos's incident and the trouble with ownership. The wine cellar is going to be a problem. Yeah, wait. Unless there's another piece of paper, or it's on the back or something, it's just not on here. How do you not have, like, a basement in the plans? I shudder to think of what sort of repairs they did to the place. There might have been things that were swept under the rug, or, under the floor, pushed to the dark corner of the rooms and hidden away in barrels. Like Zachary put in some dark corner, if we had gone that way. Water damage could have been covered up. There had been floods due to heavy rains in West England just last year, after all, and if there's any sort of damage to the house's foundation, that's going to be a lot of work. I was not able to look at the attic as well. For all I know, a whole family of vermin, or a ghost, could have made their nests there. Working with pest control is always the worst. The sheer size of this place is staggering, even if I did just say it was a lot smaller than I thought. I might just be biting off more than I could chew, but who doesn't like a good challenge? First things first, I'll have to...
So, do you want a coffee? The one from the staff room is pretty decent.
There's really no need. I'm sure you have rules against it.
Rules against bringing someone coffee? That's ridiculous. And even if there were regulations against it, nobody's really here to tell Sir John.
Yeah, I don't know about bringing coffee, but I would imagine a lot of places are pretty anti-outsiders going to the break room.
I've already brought 2 mugs, and I'm not going to drink them on my own. Come on.
I have to stamp down my annoyance at being distracted. Seeing the girl, the young woman, though, it looks like she has a lot on her mind. If babbling is her way of dealing with stray thoughts, I'm not really the one she should be babbling to. How should I respond? Oh, come on, I'm not going to go, I don't have time for this. I give her time to speak up. Because I'm so nice. Plus with Luke... Oh, that must have been from last time. Which is interesting. That was a plus. I mean, ultimately it does pay off. But, I'm surprised at the moment. But when she just stares, I clear my throat.
Yes? You have something to say?
As embarrassment creeps up on her face, I snatch one of the coffees from her and take a sip. Too hot.
Just thinking and speaking off the record, it must be fun what you do. You go to people's houses and you make them, well, pretty. You're sharing your art with them.
It's a little bit more complex than that. But if you put it that way, it is fun. I wouldn't have done it for 7 years if it wasn't a little bit fun, I guess.
These big clients always have paintings in their homes. Do you have a supplier for art pieces?
I didn't expect to hear such a question from her, seeing how well she handled herself yesterday. I didn't doubt, then, why she was assigned to an important sale like the Ermengarde mansion, despite the little accident she had. Now she just looks too young, too nervous, and unsure of herself, although her enthusiasm must make up for that in spades. In fact, I wouldn't have believed it if she had introduced herself the way she is at the moment. Why, watching her now, she actually looks like she should still be in college. Acts a bit like it, too, when I think about it. I thought she was a teen, slumming it out in the mansion when I first saw her there lying on the ground. Surprise, surprise, she turned out to be one of the estate agents handling the property.
The clients usually support artists of their own choice. If they don't, I'm always happy to refer those that I know.
That's cool.
That's the agent dealing with selling the mansion. Oh, that's cool.
They're very picky. I don't think a hobbyist will have an easy time getting their work sold.
Hey, I'll have you know I was a student of the fine arts.
And yet here you are, selling property. Maybe you weren't a very fine student of the arts.
Freaking zing. What the hell, man? Maybe I took that a bit too far? She bites her cheek and it looks like she's barely holding herself back. Yeah, she was ready to punch Luke in the friggin' face when, he took it farther, but still. Or further.
It's not like I had a choice.
She mutters it under her breath. I barely even hear it. But the hurt is there. And it makes one wonder what brought it on. Although it is understandable, if for reasons what I think it is. Very few people make it big in the art world. I can see why she'd be upset about it with that enthusiasm. I didn't have a choice when I left Ireland. It was that, or years of unemployment. The recession and the toll it took in the construction industry was out of anyone's control. I don't know what choice she wasn't able to make, whether it was about her being at art school or something else. But the world isn't a fair place. And the sooner she accepts it, the better. Still, with that forlorn look on her face, I can't help but sigh. The girl reminds me far too much of myself when I was younger.
Well, if you're thinking of commissioning your paintings, I'll have to see your work first.
Oh, it's not... I didn't mean it like that. I don't have any paintings.
Really? You sounded a lot like you still did art or want to. Now I'm starting to worry that you might just like the smell of paint.
I'm not a paint huffer, sheesh. I just mean I don't make much anymore. I don't really have the time for it. The tools and materials aren't exactly cheap either.
Everything has a price. It sounds like you're making excuses for something you're presumably passionate about. If you really want to practice art, a little out of your wallet isn't much.
Ugh, I mean, she's already giving away everything out of her wallet.
It's not that simple.
It's not. Life's simple. People just like to make it complex. Speaking off the record, I have some advice for you, kid.
Grow up, kid. Oh, here it comes. This is our plus relationship? Okay.
Either go for what you want, or stop thinking about it when you have something else. That is unless you enjoy making yourself miserable, then by all means.
You know, if you wanted to look at the floor plans without me bothering you, you could have just said so.
Would you have left me alone?
We'll never know now, will we?
We could, but I'm not going to do that. A strained air settles in the room afterwards. This was the plus Isabella relationship. Okay. It doesn't help that she doesn't immediately leave as she has said, lingering awkwardly by the door with that downcast expression. It's clear there's more she means to say, perhaps even to defend herself and her choices in life. Or is she expecting me to dish out more of that advice? Yeah, we're really being overbearing here. I open the installment by saying Marianne's by far the best character, but we're docking some points for this conversation. It's an awkward affair, and I choose to hightail out of the realty office as quick as I can. Though I am able to keep myself professional at all times... Really? All but one, I guess, does not mean I like it. And seeing that most of the day has already gone by before I realized it, I choose to head back to my flat instead. Despite today being a Saturday. No fun, but at least this way I can definitely avoid another unpleasant encounter. Considering how much I'll be seeing whiskey in the near foreseeable future, I have a feeling I'll need all the rest the weekend can give me. For the first time in a long while, excited as I am to work on the mansion, I cannot wait to be over and done with this project. Monday! I hate Mondays. Monday couldn't come any sooner. After taking the floor plans from Miss Santos the day before the last, I spent most of my Sunday drawing up plans and calling in my suppliers. Although no design choices have been made yet, I'm quite sure that they'd want high-end appliances, the most expensive materials, and the most pretentious everything. They usually did, these rich types, based from experience at least. Given how badly this whole thing started, it wouldn't hurt to be prepared. I have to check myself, before I wreck myself, make sure I'm not playing with my gloves as one of the other building tenants takes the elevator up with me. It makes me self-conscious when the woman's eyes go over me, and I'm sure she was going to point out some perceived flaw in my physical appearance. But I'm saved from being paranoid when they went off a few floors later. Still, the ride up to my floor is nerve-wracking. The Wrights lived at the very top, the penthouse, the creme de la creme when it comes to condominium and urban living. Just getting access to the place is an ordeal of its own. I had to jump so many hoops, so many security checks, just to secure a key card. Not only because of building management, but because of the Wrights' personal security. It sometimes felt like I'm being interrogated for a crime and not visiting a client at their home. Even when their personal assistant called in to help out and verify my presence, the process is aggravated rather than hastened. Speaking of the devil... Oh my god, the two best characters together at last. The elevator door opens, and I am greeted by none other than Whiskey's not-so-little lackey.
I do apologize if I kept Mr. and Mrs. Wright waiting, but I'm here now and I'm ready, so if I may, where are they?
They've just woken up, but they should be down soon. I'm surprised to see you made it through security. And only 5 minutes late.
You said I'd be through security soon, and it took half an hour. Define soon in this context.
I'd make myself comfortable if I were you. I'm going to go and put the kettle on.
Damn, this guy's smooth as hell.
About the tea, I don't want to intrude or anything.
The sir does not like being woken up by the whistling. But who am I to deny tea to a guest?
Yo, he's good. He shows me to the couch before drifting off towards the kitchen, quietly pulling out a teapot, cups, and all sorts of other things in preparation for tea. I ignore the animosity towards his employer that his words implied. He's so good. I wouldn't be too surprised if Whiskey's own people don't like him. Accepting the quiet and isolation instead, I brace myself for what's to come. I gotta know, how do you develop that kind of, like, tactful sass that you can get away with? You gotta be damn good. In this case, soon apparently means more than 5 minutes, or even 10. I sit in their living room, just waiting. And when the kettle starts whistling and the tea has been served, I continue to wait. At least the silence is relaxing. But then there's a crash. I nearly spilled tea all over my lap in surprise, and I look up expecting security to come running. Even the man at the kitchen counter continues to fix breakfast like he heard nothing. That's just how Luke wakes up. He falls out of bed every time. I don't want to speak up about it because he looks far too absorbed in his cooking, and I don't want to be the cause of burnt food or worse. However, there's something in me that just wants to figure out what that was, although I'm not normally this nosy. I am absolutely going to continue waiting. Are you kidding me? Oh. If there's no relationship interference, then let's just say there's no freaking ghost. Remember, apparently other people cannot hear the hauntings. Johannes had no idea about the crying in the cellar, or the crying in the first floor window when Zachary came up. I have no business with it. These rich people usually value their privacy above all else, after all. Unless, of course, they're posting pictures on social media, bragging about what good people they are for allowing themselves to be interviewed for some magazine. Then again, the whole reason I'm in this mess is because I don't give two shits about what goes on with people like them. And I'm not going to get caught snooping about and be accused of some imagined wrongdoing. Yeah, that is what would happen. And in fact, with Zach, that was what happened. In an alternate timeline. I'm not going to be some busybody, detective wannabe, and run off to investigate whatever that was. It's probably just something mundane anyway, like a lamp falling over. I'm just going to sit here and wait for Mrs. Wright. And of course, watch, this actually was significant, and it'll have a payoff later. You didn't hear the crash? Oh my god. With my tea. In complete silence.
Could I at least put the telly on?
I don't really expect him to answer. If he hadn't heard the crash, I doubt he would have even heard me.
As long as you don't watch some silly soap opera.
Oh no, that's okay. I think the new season of my favorite anime is starting.
The LBC News would be fine. The William Walker show is on too, if you prefer that. Not that I watch it, but my husband does. The remote is under the coffee table.
Oh, sure. Maybe I'll be lucky and catch the doc on. I heard they're having reruns of the classics, and I want to see the second meet sixth in Spain. If not, just the news then.
Does that imply Doctor Who?
Thank you. I'll let you get on with your cooking now.
Did he just ignore the crash a while ago then? No, he didn't hear it. Only we did. Whatever. Because we did see the letter, didn't we? I think. When Isabella first fell. It's been a while. I'm flaking on this. Fetching the remote, I turn the TV on in the hopes of filling the silence. Trying to anyway, because the thing won't turn on. Oh, wait a second. We're going to see a spooky ghost in the TV screen. This is like the bathroom mirror jump scare, except, we're not in a bathroom. It's a TV, a reflective TV. And doesn't that make the silence more awkward, or what? That means if we start hearing "Help Me" from the ghost, Johannes is going to still just move like nothing happened. I know I might not be the best with tech, but I'm sure I can work a simple television remote. Yeah, but I mean, is it set to the TV and not to, the Blu-ray player or something? It really can be a pain. Is there a sound bar? Are you using that remote or the TV remote? You seriously do have, 3 remotes for the TV. It's freaking infuriating.
The batteries must be dead.
That's not what I expected from Spooky Ghost. I see "Help Me," but why are you blonde? Anyway, I called it. The fact that something would happen. What? There is blood everywhere. "Help me," it says in red. I look at my own hands and find them clean, yet I can see my grisly reflection gaping back at me. And though there is nothing staining my skin, I can feel the sticky and warm feeling of blood dripping down my cheeks. I should be worried. Instead, I feel my attention drawn towards her. Her beautiful blonde hair, her soft lips with skin so fair and swaying hips. Is this going to be like the little kid in the park then? The ghost makes us see visions that aren't the ghost? Is this that person we were talking about from before who may or may not be Hannah? I want nothing more than to hold her, plant my lips on her neck, and to run my fingers through her hair. She laughs and she smiles when she looks at me, but then she decays and becomes Spooky Ghost. Where are her eyes? Oh yeah? Huh. Temptation is gone in an instant, and I recoil, horrified at this reflection I am seeing. Only to back into something, or rather someone. Yeah, so it was a spooky ghost version of Hannah. Hannah is standing behind me, but we're getting park spooked like Zach did. There you go. Mrs. Wright stands there, twirling a lock of her blonde hair, a soft smile on her lips, and a hand on her hip. I almost back away, but I grounds and remind myself that this is my client. And whatever I just saw... Well, it wouldn't be too far-fetched to say that perhaps I'm going a bit daft. It would be preferable, of course, to think it was all the trick of the light or the makings of an overactive imagination.
Good morning, Mrs. Wright. I'm sorry, I didn't see you. Have you been standing there long?
No, I just came down and saw you were having a hard time with the telly. We must have forgotten to change the batteries. Are you alright, dear? You're looking a bit pale.
No, I was just watching the Help Me program.
Haven't you had breakfast yet?
No, I'm fine. I had breakfast already, Mrs. Wright. I just need...
Well then, you mustn't have had enough breakfast. I'm all for a good diet, but that's the most important meal of the day. Johans is cooking up pancakes. Pancakes will make anyone feel better, he always says. We can sit down and tuck in.
Johannes is correct.
You'll feel right as rain once we get some fluffy, syrupy goodness in you.
You are goddamn right. Give me some pancakes right now.
And are you sure you're fine, Marianne? You're shaking.
Looking down at my hands, I can see them trembling. Really? Just because she looks so much like her, I'm becoming a damn train wreck. So is she not actually her, then? I've been seeing her in my dreams and hearing her voice ever since I met Mrs. Wright at the mansion. With so many blondes in the world, what was different with her? What was different this time? Ooh, genuinely tough decision. That's actually a tough one. I'm not feeling too well might play it off, and Hannah will be sympathetic, but it would be a lie. I remembered something might be true, but it might make the conversation awkward. Damn, this is actually a difficult decision for me. I want to go with I just remembered something, but I think it'll go better if I choose I'm not feeling too well. Damn. I'll go not feeling too well, even though it's a lie. I'm starting to go mad, I am. But there is work to be done, and the clock isn't going to stop ticking while I go about having a breakdown. I should go to the loo, splash water on my face, and snap out of it. Oh yeah, good. Let's have an actual bathroom mirror jump scare. At least until the end of the day, if I can just last that long.
I think I just need to excuse myself for a minute, if that's alright.
She places a hand on my arm, gentle as can be.
What? No. What if you suddenly fall over or faint while you're all alone? You can just sit down right here and I'll go get you a glass of water.
Okay.
Or would you like some beer? That's how you are nowadays now. Drowning everything in booze.
Huh. This is a new one. Mrs. Wright ? And it's all muffled and faded.
No, I don't want anything to drink. Just...
I must have said that forcefully, judging by the look on Mrs. Wright's face. But why does she care? It's not like we're friends. This is business. I'm either well enough to conduct it or not. Why would she pretend to be concerned when I am simply a means to an end? Just seeing Mrs. Wright reminds me too much of her. And maybe I'm starting to see and hear her again when I shouldn't be. I've tried so hard to leave everything behind, to forget them and move on. But that small touch and her voice in my head have nearly set me off the edge, and in an instant all of her memories come flooding back in.
I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to snap at you like that. Just give me some breathing room, please. Just, please, give me a moment.
She doesn't respond. And just before the situation gets any more complicated, Mr. Wright comes in so the situation gets more complicated.
Good morning, ladies. What a wonderful morning it is, that I wake up to such a beautiful sight.
Wow. Does he always start the day like this?
I do hope you two are getting along. I smell pancakes. I do hope you two are considering a diet just so I can have them all to myself.
When he feels like turning on the charm, I mean, it does feel affected, but still, he knows what to say.
Don't be a pig, Luke. You eat all of those and you might stop fitting into your tight suits.
What? I'm not a pig. don't think I'm a pig, do you, Marianne?
With his saucy smile and playful wink, I can't help but think, you are a bit of a pig, Whiskey. Yeah, really.
I don't know, Mr. Wright. I'm an interior designer, not a zoologist.
Ooh.
The only styles she must be familiar with are statement of works.
Damn, that's smooth.
Well, don't be a bore. You two might not be in a rush, but I'm going to go ahead and feast.
If you dawdle too long, he'll hog all the syrup.
Yo, nobody is hogging the damn syrup. I'll make damn sure of that. Rich people are so eccentric.
Come on then, we can discuss business over food.
There's no denying the clients when they invite me over to the table. Though it is too personal to share a meal in their home, it would be terribly rude to deny their invitation. Besides, yo, the pancakes did look and smell heavenly. Johannes, you are a freaking champion. A bowl of clotted cream, fruits, syrups, jams, and other spreads are laid out next to them, making for a colorful arrangement. If this was a brunch with friends, I would have gladly helped myself to the whole lot. I can't eat all that, but still. But as it is, I accepted just a few pieces of pancakes and topped it off with lemon and sugar.
You know, I was a tiny bit serious when I said I wanted a helipad.
And you're not serious about the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
Well, I do want those too, but I know you'll agree to those.
We're talking about interiors here, honey. You don't handle exterior designs and whatever handles those sorts of projects do you, Marianne?
I'm able, actually, and willing to take a project of that nature. I was an architect in Ireland before. Of course, that's another contract entirely. I also suggest we finish the house itself before working on any additions to the rest of the property. There won't be any problems about ownership this time, will there? Pardon if I'm crossing a line, but the acquisition was rather quick.
Oh, don't you worry. We've got everything sorted this time around. I've talked to Miss Cooper and Mr. John from BRC, as well as the old owners. Everything has been paid in full, and all we're waiting for is the paperwork from the land registry. They're letting us move in as soon as we please. It's not like they were living there in the first place.
That's good to hear. The problems that could arise from renovating another person's home would be... well, let's not dwell on it.
Could you imagine? Like, faux pas doesn't begin to describe that.
First off, we'll want to know how you want the place to look. It's pretty furnished as is, but I understand if you want to modernize the whole thing.
Actually, I'd prefer to keep the place looking as it is, but at the same time, I want modern appliances. You worked on the Ludgate's Christchurch summer residence. I do remember there being an oven I thought was a simple drawer before. Make them look vintage, antique, blend in with the rest of the decor.
Customize appliances then. I can't find someone for that, and if you can't tell me what you specifically want, it'll hasten up the process. We're talking about electronic appliance manufacturers. If you have a preferred brand to work with.
Splendid! So, what is next on our agenda? All the other interior designers we've hired in the past do not have us this involved.
I stop. What sort of half-baked designer did that? If I knew who they were, I would have words. Yeah, that is a little weird. Like, interior designers shouldn't do, like, their own personal vanity projects. It's the clients hiring them. I understand if they say, oh, you're the pro, you know what you're doing, but it feels weird to just not have the client involved in the project that they're hiring them for. It's like that Seinfeld episode where George just goes, just do what you want, and everything's just wood everywhere. This isn't the time or place for it, however. Instead, I use this brief pause to pull out the floor plans I brought with me.
We'll have to figure out what you want to do with the rooms. Here, we can have a quick run through.
What is that little room next to the master's bedroom?
Okay, master's bedroom. I assume the restroom, unless he means the quarters?
Oh, as far as I could tell when I saw it, it's a second bedroom of sorts. Used, apparently, for the ladies in waiting who has served Lady Charlotte Ermengarde. Which is strange, as that isn't the norm for these sorts of houses.
Well, we're not stuffing Johans in there. He won't fit. You don't suppose we could turn it into a walk-in closet and a dressing room?
I love fashion, but do we really need to turn an entire room into a walk-in closet, dear?
Yeah.
We'll have large closets and a wardrobe in the bedroom already.
Says the one who takes 3/5 of our closet. Well, what do you suggest we do with it?
I thought a utility room of some sort would be nice. A craft room where I can do fun things. Or maybe a children's room might be nice. You know, for when Kylie comes over. Or if Rochelle visits once she's had a baby.
You know Kylie? We don't really have a sense of her older brother, I guess. She just mentioned that he exists, but how does this tie into things?
1, you are not inviting that witch. And 2, there's a whole mansion for Kylie to play in.
Yeah, he did say something about not inviting her, didn't he? And sure enough, look what happens when that witch showed up. Whew!
We don't need a children's room, and you don't even do arts and crafts. I'd like to turn the guest's room and the study into my personal office, by the way, if you don't mind.
The guest room and the study. There's the study. Where's the guest's room? I don't even see a guest's room. I guess it's the bedroom off of the study? So he wants to turn all of that into his office? Damn.
You can turn it into a personal office if I can have my utility room. It's just the one room of the many. I'm taking that room for myself, no matter what you say, dearie. So you might as well take this deal. You're always out doing business anyway.
Yeah. Business is what he's doing.
The real problem is the theater. Whatever are we going to do with all that space?
Duh? Watch Mad Max Fury Road? Are you kidding me?
Fine, we could turn it into our own personal cinema, I suppose. Might as well have it, if you plan on not having a telly in the parlor.
Yes, well, I don't want guests to be glued to the telly when they come over for a meal and some tea. By the looks of things, we can keep the rooms as what they are on the ground floor, though. The ballroom would be perfect for parties.
Yeah, apparently it would.
Do we really need a dining hall, though? I don't suppose we can't convert it into a garage.
Dining hall, dining hall, dining hall. Does it just... It's not... Oh, there it is, right off the foyer. Well, yeah, that would be a good location for a garage if you don't have an exterior one.
What for? You can park your cars outside.
What about that room, right there, in the northwest corner?
The quarters?
That's sleeping quarters for the household help.
There you go.
Oh, that is perfect. Johans will be glad if we have other staff members who stayed in. It'd be convenient so they don't have to make the trip from Luxbourne to the mansion when they're needed.
You'll definitely need a lot more people to maintain a property of this size.
The mansion is really a lot bigger than I thought. Look at all these rooms. I didn't even know there was a music room next to the parlor because of what happened.
There was a grand piano in there too, when we checked during the tour.
Awesome.
Did you hear that, Luke? Maybe you can take up playing the piano again.
Really? You know, Luke is, like, easily the worst character in this game, but I'll give him 1 point for this.
Oh, you should have seen him when we were younger, Marianne.
It's not like I was very good with the thing.
Oh, hush you. You were no Mozart, but I loved hearing you play nonetheless. He'd come over to my home and he'd play such fun tunes. He'd sing too, and I'd dance, and it was just...
Mr. Wright playing the piano? I can't imagine it. But the earnest way in which Mrs. Wright said so told otherwise.
Anyway, what do you think of these plans, Marianne?
Are we not even going to consider one of my requests? Not even just a closet or just a garage? Now, that isn't fair, is it? You're not the only one who's going to be living here.
I hardly see how that's unfair. I told you you're getting your office and your theater, the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the stables.
She really just casually agreed to the greenhouse, the vineyard, and the freaking stables. Wow. I mean, I know that the game really pushes how rich these people are, but like, yeah, fine, greenhouse, vineyard, stables. That's a whole other level.
That sounds fair, does it not, Marianne?
I mean, it does sound fair considering, but that'll probably piss Luke off, versus we can compromise, which will probably piss Hannah off. But it does sound fair, though. Yeah, surprise, surprise. Mrs. Wright has her points, though I really didn't want to butt into the spat of a husband and wife. But with the way the two were looking at me to settle this, I might as well just keep to the facts instead of giving opinion.
Mr. Wright, your plan isn't quite feasible from an architectural perspective. I'm not even sure how much we can do without closer inspection. Well, the one about the garage, at least. A walk-in closet is easy enough, but the garage?
See, a garage isn't architecturally feasible, and it isn't going to be financially sound as well.
You're just dropping stables like they're nothing, but now you're talking about financially sound?
We're already going to spend a lot on your other requests. You have several acres of land to park on already.
What? Did you calculate that on the fly? Financially sound my foot. You're probably just thinking up of imaginary numbers.
What, like I?
Might I remind you that I was a financial manager? I also looked over and approved the expenses of our other houses. I know the rough costs of these things by now, love. Masters in business administration, major in accounting. Sometimes I think you forget that I'm not as dumb as I act.
That catches my attention more than anything. It sounds more unbelievable than Whiskey playing the piano. She really didn't seem like the type.
Business administration and accounting? What university?
Luxborn U, of course. Go Lux Dragons, red and gold.
Excuse me? How about we move on this chit-chat ahead and do whatever else needs to be done sometime today? I had to cancel my appointments for this, you know.
Fair enough.
We might as well do a proper inspection with the designer this time, just to get it out of the way.
Yes, no time like the present. You want a thorough inspection? Might as well do it now. We actually took another look at the property yesterday, though it was brief. But I'm sure you would want to see it yourself, to spot anything we might have missed.
It's not like I have much of a choice, do I? Riding to the Ermengarde mansion in their rice is an awkward affair. But, before we pass through that awkwardness, it is time to stop the installment. Well, we certainly made a lot of progress today, didn't we? We got to see more of Marianne's interactions with other characters in this game, and I have to say, she got along quite well with Becca, was unnecessarily forceful to Isabella, but is getting on along better with the Wrights, especially Luke, than I thought. I mean, Hannah seems to make a point of getting along with anybody, but I was surprised at how smoothly this went, even if we did kind of shoot down Luke's request at the end, but I mean, where did you want me to go with that one? But even Marianne's getting a little bit spooked. Interestingly, though, she has not seen the ghost's actual form, what I assume is its actual form. So, a light bit of creepiness, but nothing to be able to relate to anybody else, because they wouldn't have seen the exact same thing. I guess we'll see how this develops, apparently in an awkward manner. Until next time, everyone.